Good morning. It is time for the Morning Mindset edition of Live, Build, Change. Once again, you can find out more about Live, Build, Change at livebuildchange.com. All right, now that we're past the commercial, let's talk about our morning mindset for this morning. We've been looking at Psalm chapter 40, and it's a psalm that David wrote after coming out of a very difficult time in his life. We don't know exactly what it was, but we do know that he describes it in verse 2 of chapter 40 as a pit of destruction and a miry bog. That does not sound very hopeful, does it? It was a hard time for David. And so we come into verse number 4, which we talked about in yesterday's morning mindset. And David says, "Blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust." And we talked about what that means. It's trust with a capital T. It's God as the foundation and resource behind all the other things in life that we tend to trust. Because those things are bad, they're blessings God has given us. And so as blessings he's given us, they are things he means for us to trust in with a lowercase t, right? They're things that are part of what enables us to live life. But David's talking about something beyond that. He says, when we make the Lord our trust, and then he contrasts it, he says, the person who does that does not turn to the proud or to those who go astray after a lie. What does that mean, to trust or turn to the proud? I think what David is getting at is that we as human beings tend to make idols out of things and people who we look to with admiration. We tend to find a guru we want to follow. We even tend to find pastors or teachers within the church who are our favorites and we want to follow. Now, please hear me very clearly. I have my favorite teachers. I love to listen to the teaching of John Piper, to Tim Keller, to Mark Driscoll. There are certain people whose style and approach to life and teaching really resonate with me. And I can do so without making that person an idol, which is what I think David's talking about here. He says sometimes we get our eyes on a person or a methodology or a philosophy, and it's actually an idolatrous thing. It's where we are turning our hearts toward them with a devotion, with a trust. Remember, that's what David's talking about here, is blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust. We turn to that person or that way of thinking with a trust that should be the level of trust we give to the Lord. We put way too much confidence in it. And he's saying when someone is leading out of pride, whether they are a teacher or a guru or perhaps it's a fitness instructor, a doctor who gives us some sort of a diet plan, maybe it's a politician who has the plan for the nation. When we turn our eyes to those things with this capital T kind of trust that David is saying is reserved only for God, then we are following someone who is going astray after a lie. And we begin to go astray after that lie as well. And the reason I think that's what he's saying is because when we put that kind of capital T trust in a person or a philosophy, we are really believing that that person, their teaching, that philosophy, that approach to whatever the situation is that we're trying to overcome is the answer for what we're struggling with. Now, I understand there may be good principles there. I mean, you can find great truth in a variety of places, and even from people who are not believers in Jesus Christ. But when we place our faith in that truth and in the person who gave it to us in a way, that is diminishing our trust for God. That's where David's going. That's what he's getting after. He's saying, you will not be blessed if you turn to the proud and if you go astray after a lie. Keep that capital T trust in God. Remember, he is the one who is the foundation underneath and behind and around every successful, say, business principle or health principle or practice that is indeed a good thing. God is the giver of it. He is the foundation behind it. Let's talk again on tomorrow's Morning Mindset edition.